And so that day, I sat at my desk and I wondered, how many more days, how many more months, how many more weeks, how many more hours, how many more freaking minutes am I going to sit here and predict how soon people are going to die when I have the knowledge to help people live longer, healthier, happier lives? And I turned in my resignation that day, and I went home and told my beautiful fiance that I quit my job and I wanted to start a wellness practice. And so my goal is to change the face of humanity by getting this information out. This information doesn't belong to me, it belongs to all of you. I'm also not stupid enough to think that I can do this on my own, but I am smart enough to know that I can build an army and do it with all of you. So, do you guys want to go on this journey with me? Woo! All right, I already like you guys. So, every time that I speak, I make a big, bold promise. Well, that was one of the life expectancy predictions that I did. Still, to this day, my fiance will tell you, every few weeks, I actually get confirmation of a life expectancy report, some of them that I did 23 years ago that are maturing within 3 months of our predicted date. Right, so we're going to talk about how does that happen, right? Because first we have to understand that all human beings leave this earth the same way. Everybody in this room will die of the same thing. It's called hypoxia, lack of oxygen to the brain. Only we tend to think of it as an event, a gunshot wound, a heart attack, stroke. But the truth is that everybody in here is on a hypoxic curve. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to talk about how we straighten that out. Because we discovered two things in the mortality space. Number one, that the leading causes why health was deteriorating were things called modifiable risk factors. And if I was to sum up my entire career in a single sentence, in just one sentence, and I think this sentence will be the most impactful sentence you will ever hear for the balance of your lifetime in terms of how many more years you have left on this planet, how clean and clear and awake your cognitive function will be, the depth of your delta wave of sleep, your response to exercise, your timing, your hand-eye coordination, your strength, your amount of water retention, weight gain, your hormone balance, and whether or not your chronological age and your biological age keep up with each other. Do you want to know what that sentence is? I'm not going to tell you. You got to buy my ebook. No, just kidding. I don't even have an ebook, but it felt like a cool thing to say. So that sentence is this: the presence of oxygen is the absence of disease. The presence of oxygen is the absence of disease. And as simple as that sounds, we did not find a single disease etiological pathway, not one that did not have its roots in a lack of blood oxygen. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is how do we get more of it? How do we transport it more efficiently? How do we drive it into our tissues? And how do we take advantage of oxygen in our system so that we can push our performance through the roof? You're about to see, in the next 6 months, I'm going to release the first series of superhuman athletes that I've been working with for the last 18 months. Some of them very public, like Saquon Barkley, Stefan Diggs, and some of the UFC fighters, but other athletes that you don't know that are about to compete in the Olympic Games, and you're going to see human records shattered by margins we never thought possible. Speed, strength, hand-eye coordination, timing, things that matter to the people in this room. So I'm going to talk to you about what exactly that means. So we discovered that the presence of oxygen was the absence of disease. The second thing that we discovered was that the majority of pathology and disease as we know it today not only doesn't exist, but it is a symptom of a simple lack of raw material in the human body. How many of you either suffer from or know someone that suffers from hypothyroid, for example? Right? How about high blood pressure? You have it or know somebody who has high blood pressure, or depression or anxiety. How about ADD, ADHD, OCD? Okay, we're going to crush all of these today. Because the next time, because these conditions run in families, we call them genetic. I spoke to a room almost 3 times this size, full of physicians once, and I asked the entire room, I said, by show of hands, how many of you are treating patients for these conditions? Genetically inherited hypertension, genetically inherited hypothyroid, genetically inherited drug or alcohol addiction, hypercholesterolemia, hypertriglyceridemia. By the time I'd gotten through 4 or 5 of those, 100% of the hands in the room were up. And then I asked this question: if these are genetically inherited diseases, can any of you tell me what gene is being passed from generation to generation that's causing those conditions? Not one physician can tell you that. Do you know why? Because that gene doesn't exist. We've mapped the entire human genome. There is not one gene in the human body that we don't know, and yet no one can tell you what gene is being passed from generation to generation that is causing those conditions. And if that gene doesn't exist, that means that that condition doesn't exist. So then what is it? What is it that's running in families that causes drug or alcohol addiction or hypothyroid or hypercholesterolemia or all of these other conditions like high blood pressure and what have you to transcend through generations? You do not inherit disease. What you inherit is an inability to refine a raw material. And that deficiency leads to that disease. And I'm going to tell you today how you can find it and how you can fix it. And so my big, bold promise to you today, I make this every time I take the stage, is that if you do what I ask you to do, we will add, on average, 7 years to the lifespan of everyone in this room. You guys want to go on that journey with me? Woo! I like the little woos. I get a woo over here and a woo over there. It's like, I like the woos.